Doctor. I know the difference between a heart attack and a stroke. I'm not stupid. That's what Jennifer, a 45-year-old nurse, told me confidently last Thursday morning. She was sitting in my office for her annual checkup, rolling her eyes at my basic questions about emergency symptoms. After all, she worked in healthcare. She'd seen it all. 3 days later, she was in my emergency room, having mistaken her own stroke for a migraine. For 6 hours. 6 hours of her brain cells dying while she took Advil and went to work because she was too smart to miss the obvious signs. Jennifer, a medical professional, who could recite textbook symptoms, almost lost her ability to speak forever, because she thought she knew what she was looking for. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. And after 25 years of treating heart attacks and strokes, I can tell you this: the most dangerous patient isn't the one who knows nothing, it's the one who thinks they know everything. Because the truth is, when these conditions strike, they don't always read the textbook. Right now, as you're watching this, someone in America is making the same deadly mistake Jennifer made. They're confident. They're educated. They think they'd recognize a heart attack or stroke immediately. But they're about to discover that reality doesn't always match the Hollywood version of medical emergencies. This overconfidence isn't just dangerous. It's epidemic. Most people believe they'd immediately recognize these life-threatening conditions. But when they actually happen, the symptoms often whisper before they scream. And if you're listening for the scream, you'll miss the whisper entirely. Meet Robert, a 58-year-old construction worker who prided himself on being tough. When he felt chest tightness during lunch break, he didn't panic. He'd seen enough movies to know what a heart attack looked like. He expected crushing pain, dramatic collapse, clutching his chest. Instead, he felt tired. Just really tired. So he finished his sandwich and went back to work. 4 hours later, paramedics were performing CPR in the hospital parking lot where Robert had finally driven himself, thinking he just needed to rest it off. That tiredness was his heart muscle dying, cell by cell, while he ignored his body's desperate pleas for help. On the flip side, there's Margaret, a 62-year-old grandmother who rushed to the ER convinced she was having a heart attack. Her chest felt tight. She was sweating. Her left arm ached. Classic symptoms. Right, but when she tried to tell the triage nurse about her symptoms, her words came out jumbled. Her face looked slightly uneven. Margaret wasn't having a heart attack, she was having a stroke. But because she was so focused on her chest symptoms, she almost missed mentioning the neurological signs that actually mattered. These aren't rare cases. These aren't medical anomalies. These are the stories I live with every single day. And they're happening because we've been taught to look for the dramatic signs while missing the actual signs. Your body is incredibly sophisticated, but it doesn't always send distress signals the way you expect. A heart attack doesn't always announce itself with crushing chest pain and a dramatic collapse. A stroke doesn't always cause obvious paralysis and slurred speech. Sometimes they whisper before they scream. And if you're listening for the scream, you'll miss the whisper. Here's what's really happening inside your body during these emergencies. And why understanding the difference isn't just medical trivia, it's the knowledge that transforms you from a victim into a survivor. When your heart is in trouble, think of it as a delivery crisis. Your heart is like Amazon's distribution center. It needs to deliver oxygen-rich blood to every part of your body. 24. No breaks. No holidays. A heart attack happens when one of the major delivery routes, your coronary arteries, gets blocked by a clot or severely narrowed by plaque buildup. Imagine if the main highway to your neighborhood suddenly got blocked by a massive accident. The traffic backs up. Nothing can get through. And the businesses in that area start shutting down from lack of supplies. That's exactly what happens to a section of your heart muscle when its blood supply gets cut off. Your heart responds by sending pain signals, but not always where you expect them. Yes. You might feel chest pain. But you might also feel it in your jaw, your neck, your back, or even just in your left arm. Some people, especially women and diabetics, might not feel chest pain at all, just overwhelming fatigue, nausea, or shortness of breath. But a stroke is a completely different emergency happening in your command center, your brain. Your brain controls everything: your movements, your speech, your memories, your personality. It's like the CEO of your body's corporation, making millions of decisions every second. A stroke occurs when either a blood vessel in your brain bursts, like a pipe explosion flooding the executive offices, or when a clot blocks blood flow to a section of your brain, like cutting the power to an entire floor of the building. Either way, brain cells start dying within minutes. And unlike other cells in your body, brain cells don't regenerate. This is why the symptoms are so different. Your heart screams through pain when it's in trouble. Your brain shows distress through lost functions, speech problems, weakness, confusion, vision changes. It can't feel pain, so it communicates through what it can no longer do. Now here's where people make their biggest mistakes. And why Jennifer, our confident nurse, almost lost everything. She woke up with what felt like the worst headache of her life, accompanied by nausea and sensitivity to light. Obviously, a migraine. She thought she'd had them before. But this headache was different. It was sudden, explosive, unlike anything she'd experienced. The nausea was more intense. She felt slightly off balance. These weren't migraine symptoms getting worse, these were stroke symptoms she'd never learned to recognize because they didn't fit the textbook description. The FAST test everyone knows about is crucial, but it only catches about 75% of strokes. There are other signs: sudden severe headache, sudden vision problems, sudden dizziness or loss of coordination, that don't fit neatly into FAST, but are equally important. Let me teach you what I call the rule of sudden. Any neurological symptom that comes on suddenly and severely could be a stroke. Sudden severe headache, sudden vision loss, sudden confusion, sudden loss of balance. The key word is sudden, not gradual. Not building up over days, but hitting you like a lightning bolt. For heart attacks, I teach the rule of different. Any chest discomfort, fatigue, or associated symptoms that feel significantly different from anything you've experienced before. Robert's fatigue wasn't normal tiredness, it was profound, overwhelming, different from any exhaustion he'd felt from physical work. The emergency response for these conditions is critically different. And this is where seconds matter more than you can imagine. For a suspected heart attack, if the person is conscious and not allergic to aspirin, having them chew an aspirin can be life-saving. It helps prevent the clot from getting bigger. But for a stroke, aspirin could be deadly. If the stroke is caused by a bleeding vessel in the brain, aspirin would make the bleeding worse. This is why you never give medications during a suspected stroke. Only trained medical professionals can determine what type of stroke it is. The prevention strategies, however, are where you have incredible power over both conditions. And here's something that will surprise you: the same lifestyle changes that prevent heart attacks also prevent strokes about 80% of the time. It's like buying insurance that covers both your car and your house with one policy. High blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for both conditions. Think of your blood vessels as garden hoses. Too much pressure over time creates weak spots that can either burst or become clogged with debris. Keeping your blood pressure under 120/80 isn't just a medical recommendation, it's your life insurance policy. But here's what most people don't realize about blood pressure. It's not just about the medication. What you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, and how you sleep affects your blood pressure more than any pill ever could. The Mediterranean diet isn't just a trendy eating plan, it's a scientifically proven shield against both heart attacks and strokes. Studies show it reduces your risk by 30% for stroke and 25% for heart attack. But here's what most people get wrong about healthy eating: they think it means giving up everything they love and living on lettuce and regret. Let me tell you about David, a 54-year-old truck driver who came to see me 2 years ago. His blood pressure was 165/95. His cholesterol was through the roof. And he was 40 pounds overweight. "Doc," he said, "I live on the road. I eat at truck stops. I can't cook fancy meals or shop at expensive health food stores." David thought healthy living was impossible with his lifestyle. He was wrong. We didn't overhaul his entire life overnight. Instead, we made what I call micro changes with macro results. David started carrying mixed nuts instead of chips. He switched from regular soda to sparkling water with a splash of fruit juice. When he stopped at truck stops, he ordered grilled chicken instead of fried, and asked for extra vegetables instead of fries. These weren't dramatic changes. They were simple swaps that fit into his real life. Within 6 months, David's blood pressure dropped to 128/80. His cholesterol fell by 60 points. He lost 25 pounds without ever stepping foot in a gym. Just by walking around his truck during mandatory rest breaks and doing simple stretches. But here's the most important part of David's story: 18 months later, during a routine delivery in Ohio, David felt that familiar chest tightness he'd experienced before starting his health journey. But this time, he recognized it immediately. He pulled over, called 911, and chewed an aspirin. The paramedics found a minor blockage that required a simple procedure instead of major surgery. The cardiologist told David that his improved cardiovascular health, from those simple lifestyle changes, had created what doctors call collateral circulation. His heart had literally grown new tiny blood vessels to compensate for the blocked one. David's micro changes had saved his life in the most literal way possible. Now, let me share the prevention strategy that could transform your family's health starting tonight. Sleep is when your body performs its most critical maintenance. During deep sleep, your brain literally washes itself clean of toxins. Your blood pressure drops, and your heart gets a chance to recover from the day's stress. Less than 7 hours of quality sleep increases your stroke risk by 22% and your heart attack risk by 48%. But here's what's fascinating: it's not just about the quantity of sleep. It's about the quality. Sleep apnea, which affects 25 million Americans, often goes undiagnosed, but dramatically increases your risk of both conditions. If you snore loudly, feel tired, despite getting 8 hours of sleep, or wake up with headaches, get checked for sleep apnea. It's literally killing people in their sleep by causing repeated drops in oxygen levels that stress both the heart and brain. Stress management is where most people roll their eyes and think about expensive spa treatments or hour-long meditation sessions. But chronic stress is like having your body's alarm system stuck in the on position. Your blood pressure stays elevated. Your blood becomes more likely to clot, and inflammation damages your blood vessels. The solution isn't complicated. It's about finding what works for your life. Deep breathing for just 2 minutes when you feel stressed can lower your blood pressure immediately. Taking a 5-minute walk outside reduces cortisol levels. Even listening to calming music for 10 minutes has measurable effects on your cardiovascular system. Regular exercise doesn't mean becoming a marathon runner or spending hours in the gym. 30 minutes of brisk walking, 5 days a week, reduces your risk of both stroke and heart attack by 35%. That's it. Just walking fast enough that you could have a conversation but would rather not. The key is consistency, not intensity. Your blood vessels need regular movement to stay flexible and healthy. Think of exercise as daily maintenance for your cardiovascular system, like brushing your teeth for your mouth. But here's where prevention becomes truly powerful, when you make it a family mission. Meet Maria, a 58-year-old mother whose husband had suffered a stroke 3 years earlier. She was terrified it would happen to someone else in her family. So she decided to turn prevention into a family project. Every Sunday, Maria's family now prepares healthy meals together for the week. Her teenage daughter learned to make Mediterranean-style salads. Her son discovered he actually enjoyed grilled fish. Her husband, recovering from his stroke, became the family's spice master, experimenting with herbs and seasonings that made healthy food delicious. They started taking evening walks together after dinner, not as exercise, but as family time. They talked about their days, solved problems together, and got their hearts pumping, without it feeling like work. Within a year, Maria's entire family had transformed. Her blood pressure dropped 2 points. Her husband's recovery accelerated. Her children developed healthy habits that will protect them for life. But most importantly, they stopped living in fear and started living with purpose. The family that prevents together stays together. Literally. Now, let me give you the numbers that will change how you think about prevention. If you control just 5 risk factors: blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, smoking, and weight, you reduce your risk of heart attack by 80% and stroke by 76%. 80%. That's not a small improvement, that's nearly eliminating your risk through choices you make every single day. Your blood pressure should be under 120/80ths. If it's higher, don't panic. It's controllable through diet, exercise, stress management, and if necessary, medication. Check it regularly, not just at doctor visits. Your cholesterol should be under 200. With LDL, the bad cholesterol, under 100. This responds beautifully to dietary changes, reducing saturated fats, adding fiber, and including omega-3 rich foods like salmon and walnuts. Your blood sugar should be under 100 when fasting, even if you're not diabetic. Elevated blood sugar damages blood vessels and increases your risk of both conditions. If you smoke, stopping is the single most powerful thing you can do for your cardiovascular health. Within just 1 year of quitting, your heart attack risk drops by 50%. And wait, you don't need to be a supermodel. Even losing 5 to 10% of your body weight, that's 10 to 20 pounds for most people, significantly reduces your risk. But here's what I want you to understand above everything else. Prevention isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about making better choices more often than you make poor ones. It's about understanding that every positive change, no matter how small, is an investment in your future. David didn't become a fitness enthusiast overnight. Maria's family didn't transform their entire lifestyle in a week. They made small, sustainable changes that added up to dramatic results over time. You have incredible power over your cardiovascular health. The choices you make today, what you eat for lunch, whether you take the stairs, how you respond to stress, when you go to bed, These aren't just daily decisions. They're votes for the kind of future you want to have. Start tonight. Check your blood pressure if you haven't recently. Take a 10-minute walk after dinner. Replace one unhealthy snack with something better. Get 7 hours of sleep. These aren't major life overhauls, they're simple actions with profound consequences. Because somewhere right now, someone is making the same mistake Jennifer made. Thinking they'd recognize the signs when they matter. Someone else is ignoring the whisper. Waiting for the scream. Don't let that someone be you. Your heart and your brain are depending on the choices you make starting right now. Make them count.